I just felt like talking to you today about the Monty Hall problem. It is a famous game show problem. It's been around from the Monty Hall show. It was on TV in the 1970s. And basically, this was a game show where they had prizes and they would do the same game every week. They would have three doors, kind of like you see here on the screen. One, two, three. You'd have three doors. You can't see what's on the other side. But on the other side of one of those doors, is a fancy new car. So envision any car, your dream car. You can have it. You can have it for free, but you just got to pick the right door. Behind the other two doors are goats, and goats, you don't get to take home the goat and eat it. That just means you get nothing. So you want to get the prize. So Monty Hall says, pick a door. Where do you think you might find the car? You could pick a number. So in this example, let's say we pick door number one. So you can see here, I put a circle to indicate selecting door number one. Now, I don't know yet if there's a goat or if there's a car. And so what Monty Hall will do is he picks one of the other two doors, which you can see are door two and door three. And he'll pick a door like door number two and say, oh, he'll show you and he'll say, it's not here. He'll turn it around and you'll see a goat and you'll say, oh man, okay, so it's not door number two. Then he'll say, all right, this is the moment of truth. Do you want to switch to door number three, or are you going to stick with your choice, in this case, door number one? And the question is, should you stay with your original choice, or should you switch? So most people, when they first see this problem, I'm going ahead, I'm going to answer it. So pause it if you need more time to think about it. But here's the answer to this question, and it might surprise you, which is that when you switch, you will find the car a much higher proportion of the time than when you stay. And what might really surprise you is that the difference is not a one-third chance of finding it versus one half. It's actually a one-third chance versus a two-thirds chance. So what I mean to say is if you switch, you're going to find the car two out of every three games. And if you stay with your original choice, you're only going to be right one out of three games. Now, how do I know this? And how do I know that switching is going to be two-thirds specifically? So all right. So now let's talk about the solution. So there's basically three situations in regards to, let's say you pick door number one, and in fact the prize is in door number three. So two out of three times when you pick something, it's going to be a goat, not the car, right? Because we know that two out of the three options are goats. So whichever one you pick has a two-thirds chance of being a goat. And there you go. Uh, and in this case, if we can see that the prize is in door number three and we start at our original one. So this would be a situation where, yes, if Monty said, no, it's not in door number two, should we switch? If we switched, we would win. And so that would have been a good time to switch. Now, the other option is that maybe we pick a door and it is correct, right? Like in this situation too, where we pick door number two and it is in door number two. And so Monty comes along and he says, oh, it's not in door number one. Now, if we were to switch, we would actually lose. We'd find a goat, there'd be no car, we would be sad. But if we look at situation number three, which is that you pick one, and again, two out of three situations, you're picking a goat. So this is another one of those situations where you pick the goat instead of the car. And you see door number two, we've got a goat. In fact, the car is in door number one. Monty says, well, it's not over here. And you switch, and you'll see that you win again. So in two out of three scenarios, switching wins. And so what I'm proposing to you is that when you switch, you win two-thirds of the time. And when you stay, by definition, because you're picking one out of three randomly, you win one-third of the time. Now, if switching means two-thirds and stay means one-third, well, then if we were to run 1,000 trials, you'd expect about 666.666, we'll say 667 wins by switching, and around 333 wins by staying. So in other words, you would want to always switch because you have double the chances of winning. Now, to really dig into this, that's the short answer. Now, to really dig in, we'll wait. So are we considering every scenario here? I just showed three possibilities, but how do I know this is really considering every scenario? So consider this as a more big picture level, that there's always two out of three that are goats. And because of that, no matter which one you pick, whether you pick the car or the goat initially, Monty can always grab the other goat, or maybe just a goat because you weren't picking a goat. But there's always, because there's two goats, there's always at least one goat that Monty can say, oh, here's a goat. There's no car in this door. And when he does that, you're now in a situation where it's either the one that you've already chosen or it's the one remaining door. You know that one is a car and one is a goat. But as I've shown in these scenarios, because in your initial guess, you're going to pick a goat two-thirds of the time, if he eliminates the other goat, that means when you switch, you win every single time. And so again, that can be a little confusing, but what does that mean? Well, let's look at our visual example here. So in the first one, you picked one, door number one. He showed you it wasn't in door number two. You switched to door number three and you won. Why is that? Because you were in one of those two out of three scenarios where you pick a goat, he eliminates the second goat, so switching will always put you on the car. In this next situation, you were sort of right. You picked the car from the jump. And so, unfortunately, then when he said, no, it's not over here, well, then you switched and you lost. You found a goat, you didn't win anything. But that correct scenario is only happening one-third of the time. Now, when we look at the last scenario, we see again, you picked one of the two-thirds chances of a goat. He said, well, it's not over here. You switched, and once again, you win. And that's to show you that because he's eliminating two out of three times you've picked a goat, he eliminates the other goat, which means as long as you switch, you will find the car every single time. And because that's happening in two out of three scenarios, you just want to switch. So if you're ever on the Monty Hall show and they say, do you want to stay? Do you want to switch? You're thinking in your mind, oh, he's eliminated one. It's 50-50 now. I know it's 50-50. It's not 50-50. It's two-thirds, one-third, and you now know to switch. So hopefully this helped you. It's been fun explaining it. Let me know if you have any questions or confusions, and I'll be happy to update this and make it even better. All right, cheers.